Hi, I'm Birds, and this is Crucible Radio. And if you've been listening to the show for the past couple weeks, you know we've been doing something a little different. We're doing a round of solo episodes. We've done these before. Last week, Swain had an amazing conversation with sports psychologist Steve. And next week, Bones is going to do something. I don't know what. I kind of get the suspicion maybe he doesn't know what either, but this is my week. And last time we did one of these, I talked about Destiny. I talked a lot about Destiny. And I wanted to talk about Destiny again this time, but it didn't feel honest because right now, Destiny is not the most important thing in my life. The truth is, I'm kind of having a rough go of it right now. You know, on paper, my life seems fine and I shouldn't complain, but the reality is inside, I feel overwhelmed. I feel burnt out and like I'm drowning in all the work and responsibility I have. And I don't even know if I'm doing the right things. What am I supposed to be doing right now? The truth is, I feel stuck and I want to get unstuck. And look, this is not a cry for help, but I want to figure it out. And I know that the best way to do that is to read and to learn and be thoughtful, but most importantly, talk it over with some close friends. So this week, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk to Bones and the Swain. I'm going to talk to Fallout and to Keen Koala, except we're not going to talk about Destiny. We're going to talk about real life. And I understand that's not going to be for everybody. If this isn't your cup of tea, I'm okay if you skip this one. I won't be offended. But I'm going to try and be honest this episode. So if that sounds interesting, I hope you'll stay with me. Thank you for listening. On with the show. So a year ago, almost to the day, I read this book called Parable of the Sower. It's a science fiction novel by a writer named Octavia Butler. And it's about a girl named Lauren Olamina, who's growing up in a world that is changing. Her parents try and protect her for as long as they can to show her the life that they knew. But Lauren can see that that life is fading and won't be around much longer. And through the course of the book, she's forced out into a new world and figures out how to survive. And along the way, she starts writing. She keeps a journal and she writes down these little proverbs or sayings or truisms, whatever you want to call them. Ever since I read this book, I've not been able to stop thinking about it. It got under my skin. Here's how it starts.
All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change.
When I read this, it felt like something inside of me just clicked. Like I'd always kind of known it on some level, subconsciously. I just never heard it put into words before. And it's true. I know it's true. I look at everything in my life. All the things I've done, all of the people I've talked to, the projects I've been involved in, and I can see, big or small, one way or another, my involvement has changed the world in some way, and it's changed me right back. It's made me who I am today. And this is just the first couple words of the whole book. It's full of these little statements that I just know are true, and it feels like there's something there that's going to help me figure this thing out. So today, that's what I want to do. I want to talk about some of these and talk about them with friends and hopefully figure out a place where there's enough space for me to have a life that makes sense to me. Although, if I'm being honest, I'm a little freaked out by this whole thing. I mean, this is a weird topic for a video game podcast. I'm aware of that. Yeah, I'm having second thoughts every step of this thing. I can't tell you how many times I've deleted and re-recorded this section.
Dude, what is your holdup?
I'm just afraid that people are going to listen to this and they're going to go, oh, well, I only care about video games, and they're going to turn it off. Or they're going to hear me complaining about my problems and just think, oh my God, this is so cringy. This guy's so up his butt. Or they're going to listen to me talk and say, well, you should be so lucky to have these kinds of problems when people in the world are blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but you can't control what people think or how they respond or react.
That's true. Okay, let's just give it a shot. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they'll tune in next week or never again. Let's get into it. Give me another one of these proverbs.
Okay. Well, what do you have in mind?
Do you have one that's like perfect for the stressed out dude who feels like he's just buried under his responsibility?
Okay, listen to this. There is no end to what a living world will demand of you.
Ain't that some shit? That is the truth right there. No matter how much I do, there's always something new to do. There's always some new problem or some new need or something that has to get done. And I guess I'm the one who has to do it. But okay, it's true. What am I supposed to do with that? I feel like I spend most of my time trying to forget that it's true.
Well, what would your life look like if you didn't avoid it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I took it for granted. Can I get a hint?
Well, you're just going to have to figure it out.
Hey, Fallout.
Hey, birds.
I wanted to talk about this one with you because you hustle more than anyone else I know. What do you have going on right now? You have a lot of jobs.
Oh, come on, man. All right. Well, we got the regular daytime job in Manhattan, my nighttime job and weekend job, which is being a YouTuber and a Twitch streamer. That's like if you were to put it on a big pie chart, I mean, there's like a sliver in there for like, social life. It's not a very big sliver.
You just need to have it in there. Doesn't matter how big it is. You just need to check that box.
Yeah, it's a really thin piece. But that's the overall work. But you can zoom in on that pie chart. Yeah.
You have a day job in Manhattan.
Yes.
And like, we keep our private lives private, but
we do.
Would you say that this is a demanding job?
Yeah.
Are you good at it?
I guess I've been there for like 7 years.
Do you feel like the better you get at it, and strangely, the harder it gets?
Well, yeah, because the better I get at it, the more my boss keeps giving me. And I like my boss. He's a wonderful guy. Actually, out of all the jobs I've ever had, he's probably my favorite boss because we get along really well. There's no bullshit. When I do good work, he will, appreciate me. He will reward me. But, the more you stand out as a reliable person, like when other people in the company are quitting or fucking up or whatever, it's like, and you can statistically get a job done well. He's like, well, we're going to give you more because we've seen that you can do this. So if you can do this, you can probably do that. So, it gets a little harder.
Yeah, that has been my experience as well. And, when I get some new thing to do at work, some new responsibility or whatever, it's not usually that I don't want to do it. I mean, it's interesting or it's important and I want to see it get done well. But there's just no end.
No.
And you work, this is a full-time job. You work plenty of hours.
Yeah, I do.
And then you come home and then you say, let's keep on working. And then you do some other stuff.
I do, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, again, we don't get into details, but like just list it because it's a surprisingly long list when you list it all out.
It depends on how far away you want to look at it. You know what I mean? If you want to look at it super far away, it's like, okay, you have YouTube videos and then Twitch streaming. But if you go a little closer, it's like, okay, well, what goes into the YouTube video? It's like, okay, well, you got to do research on what kind of video you want to make. And then you got to play the game because you can't make a guide or something without knowing what it is that you're talking about. So I have to invest hours into the game. And then I have to collect appropriate footage, and then I have to write a script, and then I have to record the audio for a script, then I have to edit the audio for the script. Then I decide that it's garbage and I throw half of it away, and then I rewrite the script, and then I re-record the audio. And then I get more clips, and then I trim it together, put it together, and then you make a thumbnail. Hate making thumbnails, and then you upload it to YouTube, you write a description, you put on the annotations at the end, you put on the keyword tags, you publish it in the right channel on your YouTube page, you tweet it out, you put it in your Discord, you put it on Facebook, you do all this stuff. Then if it's a good enough post, maybe you'll take a couple GIFs out of it. You'll take those GIFs, you'll put it on Reddit, depending on what game it is that you're talking about. You write up a Reddit post, and then for Twitch, okay, Twitch is a little more straightforward, but there's still plenty to it because you start off streaming, you know what I mean? And like, you're just like, yeah, I just want to stream. I want to be a streamer. First, I need viewers. So you got to network, and you got to be better at the game because people want to watch people who are good at games. And then
go figure, right?
Go figure. Who are these? They're demanding so much of me, birds. God. And then you see other people, and it inspires you. But it also puts more on your plate, right? So you see a streamer,
yes,
and you're like, wow, he's really good. Like, and he not only is he good at the game, but look at his setup. He's got an overlay. What is that? It's like, okay, now I want an overlay. So now I got to find an artist, and I got to come up with an idea of what the overlay I want to be should look like, and then we'll talk to the artist. They'll do the overlay. But how do I get these pop-ups? Oh, I have to have a Stream Labels account, Twitch alerts. Okay, how do I do that? Okay, how am I doing all this together? Okay, I have to make my Twitch page. Oh, look at that guy. He has a huge Twitch page about me. He has rules. What are the rules for my chat? And then look at this guy. He has a gigantic column in his Twitch page that has links to every product that he uses for his Twitch setup. Oh, and look at that. If people click on those links, they can buy the same products, and that streamer will get a chunk of revenue. That sounds nice for everybody. So I'm going to do that. Oh, look at that. All of a sudden, in like 1 year, my Twitch setup went from... Do you remember way back when I was streaming? Do you remember I told you I used to stream on the floor?
Yes. Yeah. I remember you sitting on the floor.
I streamed on the floor, on a little pillow on my hardwood floor. And my gaming monitor was right there in front of me, and I was playing. And I wouldn't even read chat because my computer was way away. And I would like leave to go read the chat and then come back to play. And then, whatever we are 2 years later, and I have this like crazy setup. I have 3 monitors on a gigantic stand that clamps down to the back of this IKEA desk, which I've assembled somehow.
Yeah, you built your it's not like you got a flat pack. No, like you bought the parts and designed a desk. You learned desk design and construction.
I did homework. I did more homework putting this stream setup together than I did for most of my courses in college. And then there's the PC. Because, you want to stream. I mean, some people stream from console, and that's fine. But then you see the big boys, and you're like, wow, they're streaming from PC. They must have a really good PC. They built their PC? I didn't even know that was a thing that you could do. How does one build a PC? And then you just keep going down this rabbit hole. And I built this PC. It's all this wonderful experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything because I like what it is. And I like the memories and everything that it's given me. But wow, God, what a rabbit hole. And it just, I talk to people who are like, I really want to start streaming. I'm like, well, you better fucking get ready, dude.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing, right? Like there's, the more you do something, the better you get at it, right? Yeah. So like the first time, like you edited a YouTube video, you're like learning the software or like trying different software and you do it over and over and you get better, you get faster, and you can do better work in a shorter amount of time. Yeah. And so that saves you some time. But you also realize all these things exist that you didn't even know about that you need to do. And so you're never done.
No.
You're like constantly there's a new thing to do, and you're starting from scratch there. Like however good you are at whatever you currently do, you are a baby when it comes to the next thing. And so it's not like you get better and better at it and it becomes easier and easier and you do it in less time. Whatever little bit of time you get back from that is dwarfed by the the new things you have to learn and the new standards you set for yourself because you're learning what is required to do a better job. And it only grows. It only grows until you never sleep and your head explodes.
And that's where I'm at right now.
Well, so I mean, let me ask, because
Sure.
like that's where I'm at, right? Like I'm better at my job than I've ever been. I'm not only the job I have now, but all the 20, 30, 50 individual jobs that go into that. And I'm doing better work, and I'm a better employee and a better manager than I've ever been. And yet I am more stressed and more tired and less able to keep up with it. And I look back at like thinks he's stressed 2012 Alex and be like,
I want to punch that guy in the face.
You want to punch that guy in the face? Do you know how much all of your time is free time? Oh, you got a band. Oh, you have band practice once a week. Yeah. Oh, like that's the thing, right? The things I used to consider responsibilities, I now see as luxuries that I wish I could have back. I wish I could have a band.
Experience. I mean, I think I hear a lot of people saying the same thing, where it's like, if you're still enjoying what you do and who you are, then keep doing it. But if you ever reach a point, where you're no longer happy and satisfied with whatever it is that used to make you happy and satisfied, then maybe it's time for a reval.
Am I happy?
Oh God, birds. I mean, how much time we got here, huh?
Well, no, I know. I mean, but that's a genuine question.
It's a real
like,
question, yeah.
I'm good at it. I like being good at what I do. I like just knocking them down because I got it dialed in. I like the sense of accomplishment I get from doing something well. Although I have to say that the joy that a job well done brings me and the like peace of mind, like when I was younger, I might get a whole day out of it. Yeah. I get 5 minutes tops out of it now of just like basking in it.
Sure.
And then it's just like, I have to force myself to try and like keep this afterglow glowing for as long as I can.
What's that famous quote? I'm trying to think of it. It's like, if you were to die and go to hell, the worst thing you could experience in hell is you don't get tortured, you don't experience physical pain. You go to hell and you meet the other versions of yourself that you could have been.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh, bro, I saw this video. I found this band on YouTube, and I love them so much. Yeah. They're called Knower, and it's just these
you were
like
talking about them, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like it's just a guy and a girl, and they are like virtuoso level instrumentalists. But they just make like weird, goofy Berkeley, graduate art music, and they are living their life to the extreme. And it's just like I watched a video of them doing like an interview before they played a show in Paris, and just like talking about like how much joy they get from their music and all the like crazy naked parties that they go to in Paris. Hey. And it's just like, like full on rock star life. But thinking like, well, I mean, I don't know if I have virtuoso musicianship in me, but like I got some talent, right?
Sure,
like what could I have done differently? What could I have been? What could I be a year from now if I knew what I had to do to get there, if I knew it was an option and that I would survive?
Yeah.
And it haunts me.
It does, yeah. Because you don't know if, I mean, it would be the easiest choice in the world if you knew that it would work out.
That is the key, like the first key to success is realizing like if you care about something, you can probably do a good job at it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who you are or where you're starting from. Like if you have something that you're interested in and you're patient enough to learn about it and you have time and you put that time into it, you will experience some degree of success and accomplishment.
Yeah.
We're not all going to be going to naked rock star parties in Paris.
No.
But
I'm trying to put one together for Guardian Con, but
good. Yeah, we'll
talk later.
We're going to workshop that idea.
We'll workshop that.
And like that's the first key. And like I had to learn that, right? Yeah. Like I was smart but a checked out student. I tried lots of stuff growing up and none of it ever took, never experienced any success. And like the moment I had a little bit of success and realized like, oh, that's not as like, it's a lot, but that's not impossible. I can learn this. And you start to get some momentum and then you realize, oh, that's everything. If I wanted to like learn how to play piano well enough to like play at like the office Christmas party, I could. If I wanted to learn how to water ski or run for town council or do my own dental work, like take your pick. But like you start to generalize, like I know I'm not a dummy, and I know that I'm patient enough to figure at least one thing out. So maybe I can do other things. And that like gets you in the door of, I think, where we're at. And then you get to the point where we are, where we said yes to life too many times because there is no end to what a living world will demand of you. And I just like, I think in order to do what I'd like to do, that means stopping some of the stuff I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And saying no to the amazing things that come along that I get offered. I already say no so much, but saying no even more to make sure I have the space to do the thing that I'm not successful at, but I know I could be.
Yeah. It's a delicate dance, my friend.
I feel like I'm at a turning point, man. Like,
okay,
I'm at the point where I've got enough work and enough motivation and enough success to keep doing all of these things, but it's not sustainable. I'm burning myself out. I don't really know where to go from here. I don't know where concrete to do it. And I just feel like my hair's going to start falling out or something.
Oh, I feel like that
beautiful hair
every day, man. I am the most determined person, and at the same time, a complete unmade bed. I don't know how else to put it.
Oh, so if you and me today,
sure.
right now, we're going to say, we know this thing to be true. There's no end to what a living world will demand of you. And that I'm going to stop pretending like that's not the case. I'm going to stop pretending like I can just work a little bit harder or get a little bit less sleep or, throw it together at the last second. And instead say, no, I'm going to live in a way that respects that and that makes sure I'm not just working because there's work to do, but I'm working because it's important. And that means being limited. What does that look like?
Because it's important? I mean,
like I could quit my job, shave my head, join a monastery, and find peace of mind.
You could. But why would you do that?
To buy myself a bit of breathing room to figure out what I'm going to do next. Or I could say, I could do something simple, which is to say like, I want to do another podcast, which means I've got to quit Crucible Radio. And I don't want to quit Crucible Radio. I have no intention of doing it, but I don't see how I could do it. In order to,
yeah, you're right.
I mean, in order to do Crucible Radio, I quit a band. I mean, and like, it was winding down.
About you?
Well, it was a structural change with a lot of other life changes, but yeah, kinda. I mean, I've been in bands continuously since I was 15 years old, and I've not been in a band for 2 years now. And I miss it, but I can't do Crucible Radio and be in a band and have the career I want at the same time.
No, I mean, I was saying the other day, I wish I could have more versions of me sitting around because I would put them to work, dude. I would put them to work.
Oh my God. I literally, I was talking with my boss yesterday and my boss is kind of like, he's like in his 50s, kind of, he's a chuckler, but pretty straight-laced Korean man. Yeah. And I told him, look, man, I've been fantasizing day in and day out about the technology that would allow me to clone myself. Because if I could have 6 more of me, man, we'd be cooking. I literally said that to him yesterday.
Yeah, no,
the fact that we're both having this recurring fantasy is, there's something to that, man.
There is. I mean, you try to grab little glimpses of hope of that fantasy, like to fit your reality. So you basically take everything in your life that you enjoy and you put it on a big piece of paper. And if there's things that you want to squeeze in, you gotta make room somehow. So either you're gonna take a piece of the puzzle away and replace it with a new piece of the puzzle, or you're going to reshape the pieces of the puzzle in a way that they are now all accommodating with one another. And one of my things for YouTube was I wanted to make more content, but there's only one me. So I would try to do as much as I could with maximizing how, because, you know, like you said, the more you do things, the more you learn about the process and you get better at it. You get faster at it, but no matter what, it's still taking up time. So what I did was I have a really good friend of mine. Her name is Maggie. She lives in Portugal, and she was hanging out in my Twitch chat. She's a mod of my channel, great friend of mine in my Discord, and she just reached out to me because she's like a video editor. She's really good with After Effects. Did you see that video on my YouTube channel? It was like the top 10 weapons in the history of Destiny.
Oh, I loved that one.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah, it's good.
I did. I wrote all of that. I recorded all the audio. Basically everything you can do. I gave her a bunch of filler footage, and then I just gave the pile to her and was like, okay, please complete this video. I gave her money, obviously. She's not like I didn't like crack the whip or nothing. I pay her for her services, as you should in the creative industry.
Yeah.
But then that gives me time to work on another video while the other one is being finished. And I mean, you could replace that. I could have gone out to a movie. I could have gone dancing or drinking. But I'm just saying there are ways to make more things fit into the picture of your life if you can, if you have money. I guess, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm a recent homeowner, and my new catchphrase is, "It is amazing what problems you can solve in 5 minutes with a phone call and more money than you'd like to part with."
Right, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of more things to add to my own schedule. As crazy as that sounds, you know what I mean? Like, I think one day I would like to start a podcast. I think that would be really fun, but I just need to figure out a way. I actually have an idea for another YouTube channel that's been on the back burner. Our good friend Dan has done some art for me on the DL. That it's nothing special. It's just, but like, it's this idea that I've had in my head. I'm like, it'd be cool to make a side YouTube channel that would be way easier. It's related to music, if that.
Interesting.
Yes, we can talk.
Are you announcing this here?
No.
Okay. Birds episode exclusive.
I read somewhere that if the more you talk about something with like, oh, I'm going to go and do this. Like, the more you talk about it, that you are factually or statistically less likely to go through with it. And after I read that, I was like, oh shit, I'm not telling anybody nothing about my plans. But yeah, it's just, you need to find time. And I had this idea for like, it's got to be about 2 months now, but I haven't moved forward with it yet because I haven't found the time in my schedule, which I'm looking to find, but haven't gotten to yet.
Well, so 2 things.
Yeah, sure.
I think there's something there, right? Like, you have an idea for a YouTube channel that you think it would work. You think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
You did your first YouTube channel, you know what is entailed, and you said, if I wanted to make a channel that I think would be good, but would be significantly easier to do and get similar results, this is how I would do it.
Yes.
I think I'm going to stay in my industry, I'm going to stay in my career, but my next version of the job is going to be the one I dream about having now, where I could say, if I cut this out, and I cut this out, and I cut this out, and I double down on only this and this, what would that job look like, and where would I find it? And I might have to do it for myself. And so it's not really saying goodbye to anything. No. It's an evolution.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll tell you, the other thing is that about 1 hour ago, I was thinking to myself, like, man, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to talk tonight. I don't know how I'm going to get in this headspace. I'm so stressed out. I feel so much better now.
It usually, it's potentially soothing to talk about what's on your mind.
Mm-hmm. Even if you don't come to a solution, but just to find someone who gets you and you can at least commiserate with, and you can tell them what you're thinking of and just bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
It makes it seem more manageable.
Sometimes if I have like a brainstorm and I want to get the thoughts out, I'll just like look at my girlfriend and she'll be playing games, on the couch. And I'm just like, I'm just going to talk at you. I'm just like saying ideas and thoughts out loud. I'm like, I have to do this and I have to do this, but maybe I should do this. She's like, is this helping you? I'm like, yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah, no, the missus and I do that, like where you don't, I'm not listening right now, but I am going, at the right time. So you're going to be able to say whatever it is you got to say before you're able to leave this workday behind. Exactly. And then you're going to do the same thing for me.
Yeah.
All right, man. I feel like we made some progress.
Me too.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Good talking to you, birds.
I genuinely feel better after having had that conversation.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Feeling pretty good?
I am feeling pretty good.
Yeah?
Better than I was before. Look, what's your deal?
Are you forgetting something?
We talked. What do you want me to say? I mean, we talked it out. I feel better, and it wasn't just a lot of backslapping. We talked through real problems. We figured something out.
Figured something out, though. That sounds pretty final. I mean, I want you to hold on to that, but just be aware. It's not going to last forever.
Well, yes, thank you, as you've proven. I mean, what's your point?
I mean, you've been down in the dumps before, right?
I'm starting to feel like I'm back there.
You got to be realistic, man.
Okay.
Do you really think that's never going to happen again?
No, you've reminded me that that's not the case. But I mean, why bother then? I was feeling down. We talked. I felt better. Why couldn't I hold on to that? I mean, if it's just fleeting, then what's the point?
The only lasting truth is change.
Yeah. Okay. Point taken. But what am I supposed to do now?
Well, if it helps, I got something for you.
Oh, I bet you do. All right. What do you got?
Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale and let your body soften. Breathe in and let your body breathe out. Feel the gravity that connects you to the earth.
Okay. I do feel momentarily better. Thank you for that. What's the next one?
Kindness eases change.
Hey, Swain.
Hi, birds.
I'm a stressed out dude, and you sympathize with that, right?
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot going on. Like, even just in terms of like hours of the day alone, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to put into perspective, but especially with my job, everything kind of ebbs and flows. Mm-hmm. And I have weeks where I am not doing anything at all. And it's like weird. And I use that time to make up for, lost time.
Sure.
And then I also have weeks where I am working all 7 days, and whether it's like between the podcast and my job, it's, I'm doing something. And I think like this week I took off, but it's been pretty nice. So I'm in a good spot.
When you're catching up, I mean, what do you catch up on? I mean, sleep, I imagine.
It's a lot of sleep for sure. But it's also like spending time with my wife, and doing fun things and seeing friends. I've had this motto since I became a chef, where all of my friends, like, I never see them, but when they do see me, they're so excited, and it's like great. So like I it's like half on purpose, half like my busy job, but like I'll be like, I can't go out tonight, I'm tired. But when I do come out, it's like everybody's like really excited. It feels real great for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I can't tell you how many times, including tonight, where like I finished work and like the thought in my head is like, I am so beat. I don't know how I'm going to talk into a microphone. And then I talked to Fallout and I felt so good.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
It's weird. And I don't know, it's a little bit of anxiety for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I'll like put something off because I'm afraid of it, or afraid of like how it's going to bring me down, or something just is not right.
Yeah.
Well, big one was this week I threw a bunch of new parts on my PC, when I first turned it on, it didn't work at all. Yeah. And I just sat there and like defeated. Like I spent like an hour like putting everything in there and like, just kind of I was watching TV and like doing my thing, but like the puppy's stressing me out. And then I just went like, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to put it downstairs and I'm going to deal with it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then the next day I couldn't get it. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'll do it tomorrow. And like I was sitting there like on my couch tonight and I was just like, this is just, oh man, I don't know if I want to like attempt this. But when I got in there, I finally figured out, and I am actually talking from that computer right now. So
it's beautiful.
I had friends, contacts helped me figure things out, and Punky helped a little bit too.
Yeah,
lots of good friends that have always been around to like help me with whatever, whether it's like a tech support thing or it's some sort of like question about what I'm doing or where I'm going.
Well, one thing I wanted to talk about, because I keep thinking about this idea of kindness eases change. And like, I'm married. You're married. We're married.
We got houses.
Yeah, we got houses. And just like trying to figure out, because like before Mrs. Birds and I got married, we were together for like 7-8 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like you get to know someone well, you get into a routine. And, by all accounts, we were happy and doing fine. But like once we were married, I started thinking about it a lot more like, okay, it's, it's not just the girl, like long-term girlfriend, not just like also a roommate, but like, no, this is my wife and I'm going to try and take care of her. And I hope she takes care of me. Mm-hmm. Cause it's like, yeah, we're going through a transition right now, like in our careers and stuff. It's tough and stressful. And one thing that occurred to me is that growing up, like if you were to translate the word love into something like tangible, it would be food. Like I can't tell you how many times like I came home like middle school, just like freaking out and anxious about some middle school drama or whatever. And my mom is just like, like can't really give any advice because what can you tell a middle schooler? But she would just say like, well, can I make you a sandwich or something?
Sure.
And it's like that saved me. And now it's like when I can see she's having a bad day, the thing I've learned to do is like, yeah, I'll if she wants to talk about it, I'll talk about it. I'll give her a hug. I'll, say the things that you're supposed to say. But really what I need to do is get in the kitchen and start cooking because I'm going to make her something to eat and she's going to feel better.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, whenever I'm stressed out, I tend to lean towards more things that are bad for me. Like far as food goes, the restaurant depot that I go to every week has a 24 pack of fruit snacks.
Good Lord.
Like Welch's fruit snacks for $9.
Oh,
and it's
boy.
like, give me
you
that.
I have to buy them.
Yeah. That's like, why, that's like a deal. Why wouldn't
you can't afford not to buy these fruit snacks.
Yeah.
Well, there's this thing I've noticed, and I wonder, like, as a chef, how you feel about it. Like, I've eaten a lot of sandwiches in my life. Sandwich is probably my favorite food. Mm-hmm. But there is nothing that tastes quite as good as the exact same sandwich I would have eaten, but someone else made it for me and cut it in half and put it on a plate. And I wonder, like, when you're cooking for people, like, do you get that experience? Like, I know you're, like, in the kitchen and you're running things and you're just, like, keeping the line going and, a ton of your workday is before, like, the first person even comes to the restaurant. But when you see somebody come into the restaurant and they're hungry and then they sit down, or it's like they're on a first date and it's awkward and then you just get some delicious food in front of them and you can tell like they're doing better. Like, do you feel that?
Parts of my job, like any job, it's not always like through and through one experience. Like you said, a lot of my job starts way before the place even opens. And I see it more like when I cook in smaller settings for people. Mm-hmm. A lot of times I do get it at the restaurant. I'll go out and like say hi to people. I'll stop by the bar. We have a lot of regulars that come through and you can see it then. My manager tends to like relay anything to me that like someone might have said, like, oh, someone said this is like the best thing that they ever had. Whatever it was, like dessert, a sandwich or like something, that you put on special for that night. And that feels really good. And that makes those like small moments make my day. And it's something that we strive for every day, is like perfection, so that every single person that comes through is pleased in some way. But like I said, I do tend to experience it a lot more in smaller settings. I do like not personal cooking, but we do cooking classes at a local place, probably like 4 or 5 times a year. And that's tons of fun because it's a small setting. There's 16 people. I'm the center of the room, and like people ask questions, and I can see like how thoroughly someone's enjoying something right away. I love that. I love that so much. And I like our next iteration of the restaurant I'm in right now, because we are planning towards a very, very large 2019, which might involve moving. We have an open kitchen planned, and I'm excited for that because I would love to see people. We may have something where people can eat at the counter, like right up against the kitchen.
So it's like a barbecue sushi restaurant?
Yeah, sort of. But I would love that experience, like that chance to do that, so that I could like go right up to someone and ask how something is, and put the people that I care most about, like personal friends, people coming from out of town, family. I could put them at in those areas so that I can personally take care of them and say like, this is this. We've been working on this. I would like you to try this, and we don't make no junk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think people don't always realize, like, especially for a restaurant like yours where, the dish that you eat might have had like 20 hours go into it or more.
That's funny because we are currently doing 48-hour short ribs at the restaurant.
And like that idea that like, okay, it's a business, right? You're trying to make money, but like, you can make money selling mediocre food. You guys are working an insane amount for every dish to make something that the only goal is to give it to someone else to eat.
Sure.
And for them to be able to taste days going into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's some things, if they're going to be done right, need a lot of time and a lot of care and a lot of attention to detail. I'm sure everyone here has had like a mediocre burger or a steak that's overcooked, but it takes a very dedicated kitchen of everybody being on the same page to really execute something that like pleases everyone. There is that extra bit of like that extra step that we take on everything. Mm-hmm. So like we have an area where everything comes to before it goes out to the diner. Mm-hmm. That's where I check everything to make sure it's perfect before it goes out. Make sure everything's on it. I taste like sauces. I taste, pieces of whatever they are sending out so that I know it tastes right. That's that next level that you won't get in most restaurants or, cooking at home.
Yeah. Well, let me ask about that. I mean, I imagine typical work night, you come home and the last thing you want to do after cooking all day is start cooking another meal. But I mean, when you have, weekends or nights off, what do you do then?
Oh, man, I don't tend to make food at home. Like anybody who does their job a lot will come home and be like, that's the last thing I want to do. Like, I know, like even on your days off, you're like, we're going to go out to eat. And that's what we're going to do. Go. But I do tend to have Kelly cook for me when she's getting there, where she like feels confident cooking for me. That's one of the biggest things I hear is like people say like, I hope you like it. Like I'm really scared like cooking for you. I'm like, you could just throw in hot dogs in water and like put it on a bun and I would have been happier than pig in shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what I want. I want a hot dog today. But Kelly's been really trying to like I tend to skip a lot of meals because like I don't remember to eat. It's become my job and like
or you just like eat a hunk of bread while standing up in 30 seconds.
Or like, oh, they made too much fries for this dish. Put it in a bowl so I can eat it.
There you go. Almost a meal.
Yeah. It tends to be stuff like that. But she's taken to make me breakfast. And that's like one of those things that like, I told her, I was like, just make me whatever. Like it could be cereal in a bowl. Like as long as I have something, like I'll be happy. Like I'll eat it and I'll just like thoroughly enjoy the fact that I didn't have to make it myself.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. All right. Well, let me ask you this last question. You've had a really, really stressful week. Like you're launching a new thing or something and Bones and I are making life difficult for you, but it's like finally over and you have, a couple days off, and anyone in your life could make any dish for you to make you feel better, what would that be?
I like going to other restaurants. That's like one of my favorite things because Philly is a kind of small town. It feels small.
Sure.
It's still kind of large, but I would say almost every chef in Philly knows each other and they take care of each other when they come through. So I like going to other restaurants so that like I could see my friends and experience their food. So, sushi. Sushi is like the omakase at a place called Royal Izakaya here in Philly. The chef there is amazing at what he does, and he puts love and care in every single like little piece of fish that he like puts up. I like going there for sushi. I think about it all the time.
Yeah, that reminds me of this thing that I read recently that like, you get born, you get a family, but then as you get older, you get to build a family for yourself. And I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would have possibly survived the past 5 years if I didn't have friends like you in my life. So, thanks, man.
I'm here.
Well, okay, I don't care how short-lived it is, but I feel better. Talking to Swain made me feel better. This is helping, and I want to keep going. Let's keep doing these.
I do too, but you know what time it is.
Oh, really? I mean, this week we're talking about life this week. Why we gotta bring sponsorship into it?
Do we have to?
I guess. I mean, it just feels so crass to interrupt this thing for a little bit of money.
Well, where does that money go?
I mean, it goes to Andrew to edit the episode. It goes to Nick to do the video version of the podcast. It goes to Dan, do the graphic art, run the social media. It goes to Otter for the Patreon, all the odd jobs that he does.
What are they going to do with it?
Well, I mean, Andrew's going to pay his rent, probably. Nick likes to go to Smash tournaments, so like probably fund a road trip for that. I know Dan's trying to move. That's expensive. And Otter lives in the Bay Area. It's like the most expensive place in the country. So everything? Okay. Point taken. Let's do this thing. This week, we have to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Keeps. Look, hair loss isn't just your dad's problem. It happens earlier in life than you think. In fact, by 35, 2 out of 3 men will start losing their hair.
Introducing Keeps, a new company offering a simple, clinically proven, affordable way to stop hair loss.
Complete with the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products, Keeps is clinically proven to help you keep the hair you have.
Plus, it's entirely online and only $10 to $35 a month, half of what you'd typically pay at the pharmacy. Better yet, sign up is easy and takes less than 5 minutes.
Just answer a few questions and snap some photos, and then a licensed doctor remotely reviews your information and gives you the right prescription.
Within 2 to 3 days, a 3-month supply of your treatment will arrive at your door.
Stop hair loss today the easy way with Keeps, offering customized treatment plans with the only FDA-approved hair loss products for about $1 a day from the comfort of your couch.
To receive your first month of treatment for free, go to keeps.com/crucible. That's KEEPS.com/crucible.
That's a free month of treatment at keeps.com/crucible.
Keeps. Hair today,
hair tomorrow. All right, that takes us to the halfway point. Thank you for listening so far. I still can't believe we're doing this. Next up, we've got a conversation with Keen Koala, but I have to be honest, this one is a bit of a toughie. The topic of death comes up. I don't think it's morbid, but I completely understand if you're not trying to hear that right now. So if so, feel free to skip past it, round it out with a nice bones interview at the end. Otherwise, what's next?
Okay, let's go there. We give our dead to the orchards and the groves. We give our dead to life.
Hey, Keen.
Hey, birds.
So when you heard this quote, where did you go?
My dad got really sick a few years ago. He got diagnosed with cancer, and it got diagnosed at stage 4 when they finally caught it. Initially, they gave him a few months to live. He ended up living a year and a half or almost 2 years after that. When I first heard the news, I kind of had already resolved at that point, and this is probably a terrible thing to say for people who are facing the same struggle that I did with people who are diagnosed with illnesses that can be terminal, but I kind of resolved myself that this was it. Like he wasn't going to make it out of it. And that's not to say that I didn't want him to live. And I think now that he's gone, I've wanted him to live a lot more than when he was alive. Just a harried past that my father and I had. But I think that this passage probably spoke to me the best because when he did pass, he was very lucky with his treatment. He was dating a woman before he got sick who had a lot of connections to the scientific community. Because of those connections, he ended up getting put in a very good research hospital, and they took really good care of him. And so ultimately, when he did pass, they asked us what the family wanted to do with his body, and he wanted to be cremated. But I felt like there was more to those wishes, I guess, that he should do more. And I've always felt like my dad never quite did what he really wanted to. He fought like hell to get through everything, but because of all the work that hospital did, we told them that we wanted to donate his body to them so they could study him, so they could, harvest his organs, anything that they would need for research and life to go on, I guess. And my family, they really didn't have any issues with that. And that surprised me because, by this point in my life, I didn't really experience any great loss. And when it came to my dad, because of the history we had, it really puts everything in perspective on how you live your own life. Ultimately, like this passage says, we give our dead to life. I gave my dad to a greater cause, to hopefully that any little bit that they could learn or teach could possibly help someone else out. I think that's very controversial for how I went about it. Ultimately, I didn't give him his last rites, but also at the same time, recognizing that in the end, like my dad's gone now. He doesn't have any say over what happens afterwards. And honestly, I don't feel like what I did was wrong. I felt like it was better to honor his memory that way than it would have been to scatter his ashes somewhere where he wouldn't care anyway because he returned to the void. So,
yeah. Or
wherever you go after you die.
You're the person who keeps on living, and I think you have an active role to play in that when someone dies. This last year, both my grandparents on my dad's side died, but before my grandma died, my dad and my sister and I were able to go back east and visit her, and my dad's got a lot of siblings, and a lot of them were there too, and getting the chance to talk with my grandma and learn more about the stuff that she did in her life and the stuff that she cared about, and seeing those things reflected in her kids and in my sister and myself helped me not fear my own death so much. Like that even though I'll be gone, that it's not like I'm entirely erased, that the things that I did in my life still have an effect on the living world.
It's definitely a subject that I didn't think I would have an appreciation for, especially growing up. It was always I guess unlike you, I do fear death, but I think my fear is grounded in the fact that I'm afraid that I don't get a say in whether or not my life was worth it or not at the end.
But don't you though?
I mean, at the very end, like you're dead, you're gone, you leave behind whatever you leave behind. You know, the souls you touched, the people that remember you, the things that you did. But it doesn't matter to you personally. It only matters to those other people. So in a way, every life is completely unselfish, I guess, because you don't get anything in the end, right? Everything you leave behind is for everyone else.
I mean, you're right, and I guess that's kind of the flip side of it. Like, as I've gotten older, I spend a lot of time thinking about sort of the big picture and looking at my day-to-day life and wondering how that connects to it. And just looking at, how I spend my time and wondering, am I doing the things I do because they're important to me and because I care about them and they bring me happiness and they make the world a better place? Or if it's just out of habit that I do the things that I do, or because they bring me some, like short-term relief. And I can feel real guilty. I mean, it makes me feel bad, or like I'm being selfish or short-sighted, and kind of get stuck in that thinking. But that's a good life isn't spent feeling guilty about missed opportunities or not making the right choice. I can kind of get stuck there.
I think a lot of that has to do with the whole idea of you're supposed to live in the present. Like when I think about what I need or who's around me, I don't always think about what it's going to look like tomorrow or what it looked like yesterday. But I think about, how do I want to live this day that I'm in right now? Like, if I'm going to spend this money, is it because I want to eat a good meal? Is it because I want to have a good time? And because tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen after that? My dad dying really, really set that kind of thought process alive in me, is that the idea that I now have concrete proof, through a major loss in my life, that I'm not immortal, right? The kids seeing their parents die is that realization that, your superhero died. At some point, if you have children or if you have people that really care about you, that look up to you in that same way, that process is going to repeat itself. So for me, just a lot of the things that you do consume. You're taking in all of this stuff, and ultimately what you spit out is an experience. But it doesn't push you forward, right? It's a static experience. It might change you internally, but that's a decision you make on your own. Whereas if you create something instead, it comes from within, right? There are no external forces when you create something. It's something that starts in your mind and it works its way outward. And ultimately, it's just going to be more satisfying to create than consume. And I think I might be assuming too much, but I think at this point in our lives, I'm almost 30, and I know you're in your 30s, but understanding what we're doing and the consequences that it has when we consume versus when we create, it's starting to manifest itself. And it is like, it's a tough thing to realize, because a lot of the things that I enjoy are ultimately consumption-based activities. I don't do a ton that creates. And what I do is ultimately incredibly satisfying, but it's a lot harder,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's part of it too. Like, I've done a lot of things, right? I have a career. I've made music and played in bands. We make this show, and the more things I do where I found like, I'm capable of this. I could be making something here. I feel pressure, or just like I've wasted my time, that there's a lot of possibilities of what I could accomplish in my life. And that, maybe it's too late to be realizing this. Like maybe I missed my window.
I don't think it's too late. It feels too late because you look back and you see all that time that you could have spent doing something else. I think that in itself is a great experience, that you have the ability to look back and think, well, I might not have done X, Y, or Z to get to where I want to be, but you have the added benefit of knowing, well, if I do X, Y, Z now, maybe I'll get there. There's very few things I think in the human spectrum of what we can do that you actually like tap out on when you can do it. Outside of like extreme physical activity, like athletes, there isn't a ton that you can't necessarily just pick up and learn how to do. And you see it all the time in the news or on Reddit, you know, people incredibly old aged that pick up a skill and become amazing in, you know, the latter half of their life.
That's true, but I mean, it's hard. It's hard to pick up new things and to start things, and even harder to finish them. And I guess I just want to know that the reason I do the things I do in my life is because they're rewarding, and I'm proud of them, and not just because I want to make sure that, you know, when I look back on my life on my deathbed, that it's not, you know, it's not full of regrets for the missed opportunities I left.
Yeah, but that's the whole spiel though, right? Everybody regrets things at the end of life. Everybody. No exceptions. No one lives a perfect life.
It just seems unfair sometimes, right? Like we just get so little time, and there's so much to do. I mean, there's so many things I want to try and accomplish in my life, and I just know I'm not going to get to most of them. That I wish I could just live forever sometimes and have time to try it all.
I don't want to live forever. Absolutely not.
Oh, but man, it's so weird. It's going to get so much weirder. Don't you want to see it?
I'm sure it'll be incredibly weird, but I get to live now, and I won't live later, and that'll be that.
Yeah, now is okay.
Yeah, now is okay. But I can always make now better, and I think that's a great thing, is that I can always make it better. That's it.
Thanks, man. Ooh. That's a weird spot to try and bounce back into podcast mode from.
What's up, man?
Do you have to ask? I mean, I'm thinking about my own death. It's not comfortable.
But it's gonna happen.
You seem entirely too cheerful to be pointing that fact out. Yes, I guess so.
Okay, question for you. Do you know anyone who hasn't died?
Yes, I know people who haven't died.
They haven't died yet.
That's not funny. Don't make jokes about that. Look, if I'm going to live my whole life just to die at the end, be wiped out, gone, then why did my life matter?
It's not all about you, birds.
Actually, it is. This episode, it is. So you're going to have to do better than that.
Look, man, you're alive. You are living. Make the most of your life. And then when you're all finished, make room.
God, you are frustrating to argue against. Okay, fine. You win. Fair enough. I bet you probably have another one queued up, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. Deep breath. Okay. What's next?
A tree cannot grow in its parents' shadows.
Hey, Bones.
Hey, birds.
This is always an annoying question. Where are you going to be 10 years from now?
It's a big one.
We'll start wherever you want.
Hitting real home. Well, I'll start right at the top because I feel like just earlier today I was kind of chatting about this, but it's been on my mind for a couple of weeks, and it's like, what am I gonna do for the rest of the year? Where am I gonna live? Am I gonna be here? Am I gonna be there? And that's just a pretty normal, natural thing that people change location every once in a while. It's nothing I'm panicking about, but it's a big thing. And that in itself is fine. Like where I am, great. Keep doing that. That's good. New place, I like change. I actually do like, being in a new space. I'll enjoy that. Either way, win-win. That's not so much a worry on its own. But when I think about that, I also have to go, well, I'm kind of thinking about maybe shifting gears in my career. Maybe I don't want to keep doing what I've been doing for however long. I've gotten a lot out of it, but it's time to explore. I should change jobs. This is my day job, not Crucible Radio, which does not pay my rent. But that's a big thing. And on its own, it's like, well, my job is wonderful. I like the people I work with. I can pay my rent. It's stable. It's not going to end at any point. If I switch jobs, new and exciting, I like change, maybe learn some new features, maybe find new things about me. Win-win, right?
Sure.
But when you add that to the other thing, which is, oh, maybe you'll move and you'll be on this side of LA, and LA is terrible wherever you are. Then what if you get a new job, but you move to the other side and then you get a job over there? Don't move now, or don't get a new job now. If you're going to move, you got to keep that job for a couple of years, because what if you move? And then there's all these little things on top of that. So when those play into each other, I'm just constantly like, I'm not going to deal with either of those today. They'll come up at some point this year, but not right now. And maybe one of them will solve itself magically.
I've been sort of waiting for that to happen for a while now.
Yeah.
And it's not happening. I don't know what I can do that doesn't actually involve doing anything that will get everything in my life to change.
Yeah. And hey, I've been a pretty lucky guy my whole life. Everyone has their ups and downs, but I've had enough ups to make me know, yeah, good things come and go, or I'll be all right. I know I'm not going to I certainly won't end up at the end of this year homeless with no job. I'm not worried in that sense, but it is an anxiety builder, something in the back of your head. And it's not always fair to, hold it against yourself and say that stagnation is bad, because stagnation is stagnation. It's not really going anywhere. I think it's very easy to say, by not doing anything, I'm doing something wrong.
That's true.
Sometimes maybe. Sometimes action is probably the good choice. But I think I can definitely get on myself and just be like, you have not changed that habit in months. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, but it's not killing me. I'm still okay. I can focus on other things. Look at all this I've done in the last few months. You've done a great job there. But I think it's easy for me and easy for a lot of people to go like, wow, nothing major has occurred. Something must be problematic, or whatever, wherever I'm at right now must be bad. I try to warn myself of that, because it's easy for me to just kind of slip into that, haven't done anything. Now I'm upset. Now I'm sad. What's going on? When it's like, oh, it's nothing to do just yet.
I think for me, I know that the way I'm living right now is not sustainable. Something's got to give. For a long time, I was trucking along just fine. I maybe didn't feel like that at the time, but in hindsight, it's like, yeah, I didn't need to change anything. I'm okay where I'm at. And now looking at it, it's like, yeah, I could probably get another couple months out of this before I lose my mind.
Yeah. Well, and that's also another good approach, is knowing that there's a little bit of a window, and don't, if you have a problem with procrastinating, like I certainly do have in the past, it's 3 months doesn't mean do it last, but it's also good to know that this is a problem that doesn't solve instantly. Mm-hmm. And the first action I take might not be the final and end all solution, which is rough, but maybe this is a few steps for me to get out of this, or maybe this is a few steps for me to get to the next phase where I want to be. And that can be daunting, but you got time. It doesn't have to happen instantly.
You want to know what freaks me out?
Yes.
I know I can survive this phase of just crunch, just endless crunch. I know I can do it. I know I'm going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And the reason I know that is because every time it seemed like, oh man, I might not survive this, I survived it and it was fine. And whatever thing I was freaked out about, I don't even remember what it was now. It's fine. That doesn't bother me. I know I can work. The thing that gets me is when I look at where, and Swain got me thinking about this, hit the nail on the head. Where could I be 10 years from now? And pick some place that is entirely possible. It is well within, without rushing or working 20-hour days. I could slowly and methodically get to that place that looks completely different, and at least from where I'm sitting right now would leave me so much happier and so much less stressed and richer and all those things. And not Like having my intellectual mind be able to say, well, okay, if you want to get there, then, you know, you should do this. And if you're here by the end of the year, that'll set you up to do this there. And then that'll lead to that. And then you can probably figure something out there. And like my thinky brain can make that plan. But when I'm talking to me about it, even if I think I've got it all figured out, I'm fucking terrified. And like, I can't imagine. I've just been living day by day for a long time, and I can't. It's not too hard to zoom out, but it's hard to live in a way that's zoomed out.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to be 10 years from now?
That's some meditation podcast bullshit that Swain is on about.
No, man. I mean, for real. Like,
boy, 37, which feels like more than 10 years.
Yeah.
Even though that's the exact measurement.
That's a big 10 years.
You know, I used to also think of age in the terms of like when shit happens in your life, and the shit being like mainly school years.
Sure. They give you a nice, like, convenient, socially accepted set of milestones for like the first 21, and then you're on your fucking own.
Yeah, I got my Age of Triumph record book for life, just like neatly filling out like high school, go to college, get job, that kind of thing. And I feel like there's a lot less of those in this next 10-year block for me. And they're also kind of choose your own too, right? Like at this point, you start really deciding what kind of world you want to have. And I have not thought about that. I will also be honest too, that I still feel like I'm in a selfish state, and I don't feel guilty about that. It's actually one of the best pieces of advice my dad ever gave me. I'm a lot like him in the sense that it does weigh on us when other people aren't happy or they're frustrated or they want something. And even if I'm not going to like drop everything and do it, I'm still thinking about it and stuff. But like my dad told me like being selfish, especially when you're younger, is not a bad thing, because you need to get the things you need to spare everyone the details of whatever emotional stuff I was going through at that time. I think I was like 21 or 20 or something like that. So something dramatic, but it meant a lot then. And I was like, yeah. And then I really did take that and go like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I can focus on my own happiness and my own future and stuff like that. And it was still there for sure. So it's been about 5 years of really staying in that mentality and realizing like, it's okay to make moves that I want. And I don't have to give up everything I love to make other people happy, that sort of thing. And if others think I'm sounding narcissistic or selfish, then oh well. It's helped me a lot.
I think the change that I'm trying to figure out is that I make decisions that are selfish for me today, and I'm not necessarily making the right decisions that are selfish for me on a longer time scale, but it's still the same guy. It's still me. Like me doing a thing to like set myself up 5 years from now is still a selfish act. Like I'm not doing it for anyone else. But I don't know how to make it feel like that same person is me, because I don't feel like the same person I was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I don't at all. In extreme ways. I definitely don't.
What do you mean?
I'm trying to describe how and why, but I just have like a different sort of angle. And maybe I'm similar in that I'm still like quick to anger and always snarky, that kind of thing. But I don't know. I had a more naive take on a lot of things, and it took me a while to get past that. It's just sort of acknowledging that what you did in college was dumb, probably. And not just college, but I did sort of realize that what I believe to be true is that everything in your past is like embarrassing and not as good as what your future holds. Everything I did in the past, wow, that's cringy, that's embarrassing, that was dumb, that was not well handled. It was naive. It was cute that you did that, but it wasn't so amazing as you thought it was. All of those things where it's like, it's never as good as you thought, or in fact, it was really embarrassing.
Dude, I listened to the Birds episode 75 where the first time I had a whole episode to grow entirely self-absorbed and talk. And I listened back to it, and it's like, I still like it. I put a lot of work into it, and I'm happy with what I made. But it's difficult to listen to. And that was not a long time ago, right? Mm-hmm. That was over, just a little over a year ago. And to listen back to it and to just be cringing at some of the stuff I said, or even just the little stuff of oh, you could have done that cleaner. Maybe you couldn't even hear it at the time, but I can hear it now. And I think it's okay, right? I can still be proud of it. But I know it wouldn't be good enough anymore because I think my taste has gotten better and I've gotten better at doing it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Is just you just grow up and develop taste, and growing up doesn't mean you have to like what dads like, but your taste improves. And mine certainly has, and my own self-awareness has, sometimes to a crippling degree. But I think that's something I'm kind of okay with, because if I'm being extremely self-aware and being awkward because of it, at least I'm not just being belligerently unaware.
That's true.
And there were certain moments where I was, and certain, I think I thought I was kind of ahead of the curve 5 years ago in terms of, my stance on life, my approach to relationships, my approach to just how I talk to people, what I believed was, what being a good person was. I sort of qualified myself as I'm very good. I've got the right approach, and I'm good at stuff, and I don't make the mistakes a lot of people seem to make. And then I just got older and realized that's not true. And you can wake up a little bit in that sense. And, it doesn't have to be a scenario where you look at back and be like, oh my God, you disgusting idiot. It's just wow, you thought you were hot shit for thinking that. You just weren't. And that was just sort of, that was coming to a big city and meeting older people and people who were no longer in college, and me just also becoming a little bit more emotionally mature and emotionally stable as I got out of school, and going yeah, okay, things are much better now. And thank you for the wake up call, real life and reality.
10 years from now, you wake up in the morning and at night you go to bed. What's it like in between?
I think it'll be more measured and it'll be more okay with not hitting the same dopamine hits or entertainment I want. And it'll be okay with not to say that I'm giving up on fun and hobbies, but I definitely feel like I can so easily just sort of attach myself to a source of pleasure, sensory or mentally or whatever, and just go yes, I had a stressful day. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look at this thing. It could be a puzzle. It could be a video game. It could be my cat. It could be
I'm starving and this is a great big meal and I'm just going to eat and eat and eat.
Yes. That. And I feel now I'm just man, I need that when I get home. I need to sensory, stick my fingers into Play-Doh and just be ah. I think in 10 years, I won't need that because I will be healthier on a day to day, and I will be more strict on myself in terms of time spent, getting out of bed earlier, on time, regimented, going to sleep and not going oh, still got my fingers in the Play-Doh till 3 a.m. and stuff like that, going I'm a young guy, I can handle a tired day at work. I just won't do that to myself, because kind of circling back to the person who makes decisions for themselves in the future rather than themselves right now. The little baby step is going remember that time you got a ton of sleep and you felt great the next day? Yeah. What if you could do that all the time, you idiot?
Yeah. Oh.
And I think I'll just not do that to myself. I'll not set myself back on those little things and think yeah, you needed to do that fun thing. And that could be a variety of things. And I think those will be few and farther in between, because I understand that feeling better on a day to day, feeling better physically, mentally, and emotionally, just is about being able to predict how you'll feel the next day. And,
well
and yeah. And then occasionally when you have time, or maybe when you don't have time, you do those things, but you won't need that. You won't need Play-Doh every goddamn night because you're just feeling a little better about the flow of things.
The dream is not to gain enough discipline that you can force yourself not to do these things. Mm-hmm. It's to not need them, or to not be hungry for them in the same way.
Yeah. And you asked 10 years.
Yeah.
But I feel like absolutely the things I'm thinking of in 10 years, I can't quite wrap my brain about like, I will make this much money and live here. Because like, who fucking knows? But when I say that this will be true in 10 years, it's because I want it to be true in like 2 months or 1 year or 3 years.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be crazy if I recorded any podcast this week and didn't talk about Queer Eye, the new show on Netflix, because it's literally all I think about. Everyone watch it. It feels good. It's the best. It's the only pure and positive television on television right now, no matter what you say.
But it's about what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's about people who feel stuck and some friends helping them get unstuck.
Yeah, it's goodness, and it's a good approach to that, and it is not as superficial as one might think, but it's just a positive thing. And it is 5 people who help someone, and you know, they do a lot of surface level stuff, but they also explain how that surface level impacts your inside so much more than you think. And they also ask a person, what's got you stuck here? It's like the first thing they ask, not literally, but they always get right to it. And that becomes the theme of the episode. Sometimes it's laid out plain in sight. Sometimes they have to dig a little bit more, but it's like, wow, this has got me stuck. And I watched 8 episodes, and they make a schlubby, goofy person who is just so unaware of all the things they could do in little ways to make themselves feel better. They give them the whole makeover. They fix their apartment or house or whatever. The guy, Bobby, teaches them how they can actually live in a space that makes them feel good. And it's not, none of it is vanity. None of it is superficial. You do this because you carry yourself differently. And I'm watching this and I'm going like, okay, I don't need the Fab Five to come and rescue me because I am not like unaware of where to shave my beard. And I'm not like, you know, like I'm not literally stuck in a chair every day of my life, you know, like too scared to go out into the world, that kind of thing. Like, I don't need this service, but I can take a lesson from every single episode, all 5 hosts every single time of like, yep, that's the thing I can do. Mm-hmm. Or I'm not like that man who was selected for this reason, but boy, do I exhibit signs of that, as we all do. And I can learn from that. And like in the last week, I've applied those things and felt better. And I'm like, great. Yes, that's it. Those are the things you just do more and more and more and more and more to bigger degrees. And eventually you just feel good and you kind of get your shit together a little bit. So Birds, I guess if your shit isn't together, watch Queer Eye.
I'm definitely going to go watch Queer Eye the moment we finish this interview.
It's unbelievable. Plug over.
All right. Well, we'll wrap this up. But man, I have to give you a compliment and a thank you, because I think about this kind of stuff a lot, but I have trouble thinking about it in a way where I don't get all quiet and reflective and end up with another Birds episode. And it's really helpful to hear you talk about this stuff just like casually, like it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. Because that's not how I do it, but maybe it could be.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing I've maybe maintained in the last 5 years, when I said I was a much different person, one thing I've maintained is a sort of realization that I'm only going to feel better when I do say how I feel. And maybe I'm not eloquent every time, and maybe it's not always clear, but it's definitely based in truth. And I have to speak my truth to some extent. And then even if it's just to sort of like get someone to hear it, that I feel better. And that's a weird thing to sort of like acknowledge verbally, is that sometimes you say things because you want someone to hear it and react to it. And you're like, I could not say it, but I want to, even if it's weird or I don't know how the reaction was going to go. But I've always done that well enough to be like, yeah, I have this flaw or this weirdness or this obsession that I'm into or something like that. And it helps me. Also on Saturday or Sunday, I was going to brunch with my girlfriend and I got dressed. And this was after watching 5 episodes of Queer Eye the night before. And we're going to go to brunch in LA, in Hollywood. And I come downstairs and for like the first time in months, I like pulled out this pair of boots that I had and put on a bracelet. And I had kind of like a slouch neck tee on and my jeans. And she like looked at me and she goes like, "Oh, look at you." I was like, "You don't think I'm going to watch fucking 5 episodes of Queer Eye and not dress up a little bit? Are you kidding me?" And it was just like, like that's literally how instant it was. And I knew for a fact, I knew the set, like in my room, she was downstairs. I'm like, I'm putting this bracelet on. I'm like, I know she is going to point out this bracelet. And I know she's going to acknowledge the fact that I'm doing it clearly because I just watched Queer Eye. But that is exactly why I'm doing it, because I learned something from that show. And I felt cool and I felt better. And I was wearing those boots all week. And I'm just like, hell yeah, I've got cool clothes. I forgot. It was winter and I just wore a hoodie every day of my life. That was boring. And like, that's how fast it could be. And like already this week, I feel slightly better than the couple of weeks before because I'm like, hell yeah. Like put on a nice shirt and wore some cool shoes. And I just know that like this does make me feel good. And also that show is beautiful.
That's a good note to end on. Small acts of bravery. Thanks.
Watch his Queer Eye once.
I can see the meme already. So I'm on the other side now. Recorded all these earlier in the week, editing it now. And I don't know if I have anything figured out, but I have some ideas now. And I feel still better from having talked this out with people. I will say, though, I went and watched Queer Eye. Everything Bones said is true. Oh my God. It really is a life-changing show. And he's right, there's something to learn from every episode. I think a big thing now for me is, and this sounds a little cliche, but it's true, is taking a little time for myself each day. That taking care of yourself isn't about vanity or, self-absorption or anything like that. And it's not a chore that you have to do. I have to do my laundry and take a shower and do all this. It's about finding a little bit of time every day, even if it's just a couple minutes, where you figure out what you need the most and then you do it for yourself. And I feel better every day. I feel a little bit better. This thing I'm trying to figure out is still going to take some figuring, but I don't feel like my hair's going to fall out right now. So go watch Queer Eye. What Bones said. The episode is winding down, but we are not quite done yet. I've always wanted to do something like this in an episode, and I know it turns a lot of you off, but if you can sit your way through it, you will make it to the outro, and there's some funny outtakes at the end. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for indulging me. And now take a second to find a comfortable seat and just give me 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Pause for a second. Get in a comfortable position. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale and let your body soften. Take a moment to check in. Deep breath in. Exhale. Feel your toes. Feel your heels and the balls of your feet. Feel your ankles, your shins, your knees. Feel your hips. Really, feel your hips. Get in there. Feel your lower back. Let it soften. Feel your belly, your chest, your shoulders. Feel your elbows. Feel your wrists, Feel your hands and let them go. Feel your neck from the bottom to the top. Feel your jaw. Let it go. Let your eyelids go. And feel every hair on your head. Take one last breath in. And as you exhale, let it go.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
You are a good sport.
Well, I mean, we had so much fun making this part of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put some outtakes at the end.
Sweet.
I'm lucky for this one that I've got a real deal human actor person.
Boom.
And voiceover also person helping me out. If our listeners would like to see your work or stay tuned for when your next project comes out, where can they find you?
My website is my name. That's RebeccaPatty.com. But if you don't know how to spell my name, get a pen. Rebecca is RebekahPatti.com.
Hey, Swain.
Hey, I thought I had off this week.
There's never really such thing as an off week, right?
Yeah, that's kind
it's
of
a less week.
The point of this this whole thing you're doing here. There's no off weeks.
Yeah. there's no off nothing. Okay. What have I told you about this thing?
Nothing.
Okay, good. Let's play an improv game.
Cool. Zip, zap, zop?
No, it is a game of my design. No.
Okay.
And I'm not going to explain the rules. Hey, Bones.
Hey, birds.
What do you do you have a sense of what it is I'm making here, or what you'd like your segment to be?
I don't know. Well, are you leaving?
No, nothing like that.
Then no, I have no idea. I don't fucking know. You asked me to be on, I'm on. I didn't try to read too hard into it.
Let me tell you about bands that no one cares about.
Yo, birds, what's going on, you fucking motherfucker?
Now stop breathing. And don't start again until I tell you to. Just people everywhere just like passing out.
Oh man, Andrew, that's going in the outtakes. You know what it was? It was when they killed that damn gorilla. When they shot that gorilla. That was what was his name? Orengo or something? That was the point where we officially entered the future. Because like the tech has been steadily increasing, but now it's like postmodern. There are no more rules. Nothing makes sense. There's 8-year-olds on the internet getting paid $10 million a year to fart into jars. And we're all just trying to figure out how to like survive and pay off our student loans.
Yeah, no, I hear it. It was Harambe, by the way. That was
Harambe. Right. Dicks out for Harambe.
Oh my god.
011-899-911-9119-7253.
What's up, everyone? Bones here. Do you like podcasts? Do you like chill conversation? Well, me and my co-host Swain and Birds put out a bonus podcast every month on Patreon. If you want to check it out and be a part of more awesome stuff, head over to patreon.com/Crucible Radio and join the squad. See you there.